Kids, this is a Commodore 64 household. If I find you using a ZX Spectrum, I'm disowning you. Hey kids, welcome back to the channel. I am Uncle Frank, and I hope that you are having a great day. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the first of potentially many videos where I talk about the basics of economics and how they relate to the world of collectible card games, video games, etc. In a way, this series of Frankonomics videos will be serving to help people better understand how the basics of economics helps to shape the world of collectible markets, not just from a player and collector standpoint, but also in regards to how companies operate to the best of their ability to navigate their own markets, I suppose. Now, before we get into the video itself, I want to put one thing above all else, really. I am not an economist. I am not a professor of economics. I do not have a degree in economics. I studied some economics in high school and college, and over the last few years, I have done my best to try and apply what I've learned to the card world. Now, with that said, I am going to get some things wrong. If I do get something wrong and you guys catch it, let me know in the comments section, and I will do my best to take that lesson into future videos. With that said, today I'm just going to talk about one of the basics, and that is the trade-off principle, or what some people call opportunity cost. You see, as we go through our daily lives, we as individuals face a great deal of choices. And at any one time, there are opportunities in front of us that we have to choose between. So let's say that you have an hour of free time on your hands and $50 in your pocket. You could choose A, to go to the grocery store and pick up some food. B, go to the hobby store and pick up some cards. C, go to the movies and watch a really short movie. But at no point can you choose D, all of the above, because when it comes to choices made in real life, you don't get the option to choose everything. There's always a breakdown of time and resources that those options consume that don't allow you to be the kind of person who can afford to just kind of have your cake and eat it too, you know? What I'm trying to say is that not only are the resources available to us scarce, but so is the time that we have as individuals. And how you as a person choose to spend your time and money will kind of have a ripple effect at any given time towards any kind of financial goal you have for the future. And it's important to understand that every single decision you make can have a very lasting impact on things as small as a collection goal that you might have for a certain card game set, or something like a house that you plan on purchasing 3 years from now. With every small decision you make, there are all kinds of consequences that are fed by that decision and help to inform future decisions. And I know that this seems like a really basic concept, but it's important to understand that in the card world, this can quickly compound into, I don't want to say pigeonholing individuals into a certain kind of choice in the future, but somebody who makes a bunch of purchases for one card game, for instance, may find it difficult to kind of jump over to another one just because he has dumped so much money into Magic, for instance. The sunk cost fallacy, as some would call it. Now, I know it can often seem like your daily decisions only affect yourself when it comes to the world of card games. After all, if you go to a store and choose to buy a box of the new set or some singles from an older set, it can feel like, you know, that decision's only really impacting your collection, but it's not. Because no purchase is involving just one person. Not only are you getting something, but the store you're purchasing from is getting something as well. And your decision will help to inform their future decisions, their future choices. Because let's say that you're, as a customer, are buying more sealed boxes from a given store. That store will be more inclined to buy sealed boxes for future customers such as yourself. If you're buying more singles, the same is true there as well. And if people are buying more of a given product and less of another kind of product, that store in turn will be influenced to change their purchases in the future to account for this. And this doesn't just stop at the store level. You see, if a local game store has 3 different TCGs for sale, and 2 of them are doing pretty great. One is doing amazing, one's doing pretty good, but one's doing awful, just no sales, nobody's buying it, then that store is much less likely to pick up those boxes from their distributor. And then the distributor, in turn, as a result of that store's choices, which were formed in part by your choices, that distributor, in turn, will go and be less likely to order a lot of those boxes from the game company in the future. And so when you look at it like that, when you look at how your choices can have a ripple effect on the economy at large, you start to get a good idea of how these choices compound upon themselves when they're kind of looked at through the lens of a wider network. Now, if we look at it in reverse, it's very easy to see that this whole concept of trade-off and opportunity cost doesn't just go one way. You see, when you are a game company, you also have limited time and limited resources. You have to pay your employees, and you can only release so many sets a year. After all, it does take some time to develop those sets, unless you're Wizards of the Coast, and you can just, crank those bad boys out every day. But in all seriousness, it does take time to design a new set for a game like Magic the Gathering, and it does cost you money to pay those employees to design that set for you. So at every set, almost every card, really, there's this opportunity cost that the employees and the company have to take in mind, and they have to choose how they're going to design their sets going forward based on not just their feedback from customers, but also their financial feedback from customers, the LGSs, and the distribution network that they're associated with. And the bigger a company is, the longer it's been around, I think the more informed they can be, since they can get a wider, a wider idea, a bigger idea of what the wider market is willing to accept as a product. But just because they have cast a wider information net doesn't mean they always get the right answer, which is why you see big companies sometimes make some pretty poor decisions that any of their fans could have told them right out was a terrible idea. Now, when it comes to making those decisions that the wider market thinks is a bad choice, let's pick on Magic 30, because pretty much everybody hates Magic 30. When Wizards was designing the Magic 30 product, they probably had a lot of conversations in their company headquarters choosing whether or not it would be worth it to develop that product, create the packaging, and ship it out at the price point they set it as, and they decided to make that choice and go ahead with it because they thought it would be a successful product. They would not release a product if they didn't think it would be successful. It's just, that's just how it is. Actually, a good thing to talk about is part of why certain Magic sets have such a difficult time getting returns going to them, like Lorwyn or Kamigawa, is because Wizards of the Coast doesn't think that they will resonate well with the player base, and that returns to them wouldn't be worth the opportunity cost it would take to create those returns. And in that way, I hope I'm expressing to you at least in a digestible manner, the lesson I'm trying to teach, which is basically everyone always at pretty much all times is faced with choices, and you can't select all choices. You can choose to do one thing or another, buy one thing or another. And those choices don't just affect you, they affect the wider ecosystem that you find yourself in. Whether it's your family that you're affecting by your choices to hang out with a cousin and go bowling with them or not. It's your local community where you're choosing to spend your money at which local stores. And it can be the hobby that you have ingrained yourself in, which sets which products you're choosing to buy. It can in turn affect the hobby at large. I lost my train of thought there. This is why the phrase vote with your wallet comes up so often in regards to trading card games, especially when it comes to products that you may not enjoy. You see, believe it or not, companies do pay a lot of attention to your spending habits. They look at what products are being bought and how much money is being spent on those products, which is why a set like March the Machine's Aftermath can send such a strong message to Wizards of the Coast. The market widely rejected that product, and as a direct result, Wizards of the Coast has completely scrapped all plans for Aftermath boosters going forward. Meanwhile, sets like Fallout, Warhammer 40k, Lord of the Rings, despite the public outcry against such sets, they clearly sold really well, and Wizards of the Coast has taken notice, which is why we're seeing so many Universes Beyond sets being announced for the near future, regardless of your personal opinions towards the product line. So that's really all I have for this episode. I hope you learned something. If you did, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, all that jazz. Is there something I got wrong? Let me know in the comment section below. And remember, your uncle needs to get healthy. So for every like this video gets, I will do a push-up in the next one. I'll see you kids then. My last video got 28 likes. Oh, that's 28.